So a post I did this week got quite a bit of attention, so I thought I'd do a video just to walk through a little bit more of the detail, give a little bit more of the theory about it. And if you haven't seen it, it's the post in the comments, and it's about something that I'd tweaked in my sales process recently because of the offer, and we're leaning more into sales coaching as opposed to the agency model. I've switched to a one call close. So before we used to do more of like an enterprise sales cycle where it was you'd have a discovery call, and then on the discovery call you'd say I'll put a tailored recommendation together and present that on another call. And what I discovered is that actually I could probably condense the sales cycle because of the ticket and creating more content, and the trust is a little bit higher, and do it in a one call close. Now, one call close is a lot more fun than the enterprise sales cycle because there's a lot more opportunity to practice your skills as a salesperson, because often when a person doesn't go ahead, a prospect doesn't go ahead because they can't decide yes. So there's some limiting beliefs or uncertainty which stops them saying yes, even though they think it probably works for you. Even though they know that they've got a problem, sometimes they just won't be able to get out of their own way and make a decision. And so in a longer sales cycle, you've got a lot more opportunity to adjust that, because you can use copy, like the written word and content, deal rooms, things like that help give the prospect the information that they need to decide yes. Whereas when you're on like a one call close, you've got a much shorter period of time and you've got less tools. It's very much more sales focused as opposed to sales and copywriting. It's how you behave and the questions that you ask in that moment. So I'm really enjoying it because it's a lot more fun, and it's like true sales. It's much more closer to a B2C motion. But anyway, I digress. The reason, like one thing I'd shared that had worked really, really well for me is that I think that sometimes prospects always make better decisions if they feel like they're being led through a process. It's why you'll see like Benjamin Dennehy, the most hated sales trainer, and Jack and Zach from We Have a Meeting. They're always constantly doing like the upfront contracts, which is a Sandler selling principle, which is stating something up front at the beginning of the call and framing that there's going to be a binary outcome at the end of the call. And the reason is because it primes the customer for making a decision. And rather than just going through the sales process as a kind of passenger, that statement, because of the consistency principle, if they stated something out loud at the beginning of the call, then they're much more likely to follow through in the call. Okay, so that's one of the things, and it's really powerful, widely regarded as super effective. If you're not trying that, then I 100% recommend that you do. By stating what's going to happen at the end of the call and then getting the customer's buy-in, so saying, is that okay? And getting them to say yes, they're kind of submitting or to be compliant for that process to take place. And it's a really easy way of increasing the quality of the sales call. What I did, and the tweak I made into my own sales process with the one call close, is that I also wanted to couple some scarcity or some other persuasion on top of that, because the consistency principle, which is the upfront contract, is one element of persuasion from Robert Cialdini's book Persuasion. But then you can also stack up things on top of that. So another one being scarcity, which is if a scarce resource is more valuable than something that is abundant, which is why gold or diamonds are worth so much more. And it's one of the most powerful influences along with the consistency principle. So I was trying to think about how I could stack that into the sales conversation to get better outcomes over the course of the sales call. And this one tweak that I ended up doing made it's a huge difference. Like it's tripled my one call close rate, which is the people who agree to go ahead with the service and then pay on the call and do the paperwork at the end of the call. For me, that's perfect because you don't have to do any follow-ups. The prospect's engaged and committed right away. and everything's tied up. And all I did was stack the consistency principle on top, which is the upfront contract, with some scarcity. And so all I said was we used to offer a discount for people that paid in full. And people say like, oh, you shouldn't offer discounts. That's from people who don't understand how discounts work and how you can use them effectively. Most salespeople use discounts the wrong way, which is when someone says you're too expensive, they'll say, okay, I'll give you a discount, which is the wrong way of doing it. But discounts as a persuasion mechanism done in the right way, of course they work. That's why every marketing channel and consumer that's why Black Friday is probably the most busy time for all e-commerce. Discounts do work, but you have to use them properly, and most salespeople use them incorrectly, which means they lose frame. So this is what I did. Rather than get to the end of the call and then present the price, highlight the cost of action and get them to agree to a discount. Agree to the option and present the option of a discount for paying in full. I primed it at the beginning of the call with the upfront contract. So I just said, look, if you are, I give the reason, which is, look, I do all these calls, I'm the founder, very busy, and generally people who work best in the program execute really quickly. So at the end of this call, I'm going to offer you an opportunity that if you want to commit to draw a line in the sand and solving this problem, that you can move quickly and get a significant discount in order to move quickly, because it saves me time, and I know that if you're committed then you'll probably get better results. Completely up to you if you take it or not, but I am going to offer if that's okay. Is that all right? And get their buy-in. So yes. And like I say, it's completely transformed our one call close rate. Now, how do I make that better, and what have I learned from doing that is that sometimes people will come on and they won't be able to make a decision from a logistics standpoint. So there's two reasons that prospects don't make a decision generally in a call. It will either be uncertainty because of they don't believe that your product or service will help them, or it will be logistics, i.e. I have to speak to my business partner, like I have a board to get approval from, and this obviously why this sort of sales call, the one call close, wouldn't work for an enterprise sales cycle, because logistics, procurement, IT and everything like that get in the way. So how I will tweak this from now is that in my pre-call sequence and my pre-nurture sequence, where we give content and information before the prospect comes to the call, we're also going to pre-frame that they'll get this discount and say, look, if you can move quickly, there will be an opportunity on the call to commit, make a decision, move quickly and get a significant discount. In order to do that though, you would need to make sure that either you are in a position to make a decision on the call, or you have other decision makers so that you can address and go through the process together. And by putting that in the nurture sequence before they come to the call, it means that the prospects will more come engaged. And so that's what I'm going to be trying this week. But overall, that tweak, especially if you're doing a one call close, if you're an agency owner, I know there's a lot of people, cold email agencies, meta ads agencies, any marketing agencies, when you're speaking to a customer, if you can prime them at the beginning of the call for making a decision, and then include or stack some sort of form of scarcity, you'll probably see a big increase in the quality of conversations. So give it a try. Hope you found this like sales geeky conversation useful. Give it a try. I'm going to be releasing more videos on my YouTube that go deep into this for those who want to learn more. Let me know how it goes. Speak to you soon.